Doing a football Friday. We're gonna make some picks. We're gonna get them right. We're gonna sleep real tight, yeah. You know, I know that sounds good here, but now I realize I have Bluetooth headphones on, and I'm hearing a little bit delayed from what you guys are hearing through the microphone. So it sounds like I'm just tone deaf, but I am not. I was nailing that pitch, and everything I said was accurate. Football Friday. We're going to break down all the games. We're picking all the games as we always do every Friday. Go back and check. We've done it for weeks on twitch.tv/MikeTheMush, on YouTube, MikeTheMush, at MikeMush Sports on the social medias. Check it all out. I'm excited. It's an interesting week for football. Yesterday we broke down Thursday night. Of course, we hit. Easy peasy. And we also broke down UFC yesterday. So go back to that. That card will be Saturday. Of course, we're off on the weekends as of now. Maybe the schedule will change. Who knows? But I like a 4-fight round robin in the UFC card this weekend. Fiziev, Hill, Smoka, and Morono. You want to hear more reasoning? Go back to yesterday's show. You can find all about it. We broke it all down. I like that round robin. Only non-football note I have for today, and then we're going to dive right into the games because there's a lot to talk about. Grizzlies won by 73 against the Thunder yesterday. Largest win in NBA history. I'm not even going to bother to go back to the box score because it's atrocious. They didn't even have Ja. The Thunder without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just there's no talent there. Lou Dort's their best player, I guess. But still, 73. That's all time. That has never, ever happened. That's wild. And against a team without their best player who does everything for them. Man. And I'm not going to say Ewing theory for the Grizzlies. I'm going to say just disgusting theory for the Thunders. Thunders? Can't be. Yeah. Either way, gross. Okay? Gross. That's the only non-football note. Actually, one more non-football note. And I'm asking the audience here something. My other podcast, The Link Podcast, THELINK, The Link, on Apple, Spotify, everywhere, at The Link_podcast if you're interested. I talk all non-sports things, so music, movies, TV, art, books, video games. There's a lot of stuff. But I'm looking for a mall Santa to do the podcast. I feel like that would be a really fun holiday episode, and I don't know anyone who's ever done it. So if you're watching this and you go, oh, my Uncle Greg used to do that. Uncle Greg, Santa, welcome to the pod. Hit me up. Let me know at the Link_podcast or at MikeMush Sports. Get at me somehow. Come in the chat on Twitch. Do something. Help me out. Mall Santa. I need it. Over the next couple weeks, I'm going to try to track one down. Got a couple ideas for holiday episodes, so check out that podcast. It's fun. Audio only. You want the video, you want to see this mug, you got to come here. All right. Let's get into last night's game. Let's dive in because we're winners, and winners dive, and then they win Olympic gold medals, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's a really good sport. Here we go. Cowboys. Oh, Cowboys. You silly gooses. It was so easy. I mean, yesterday, if you missed the show, go back. But at the end, we give picks, as always, and we did Cowboys money line. I should have laid the points. I said to lay the points. I told everyone to. Instead, I sweetened the Cowboys money line with the Suns money line, and that hit. So we're fine. Winning picks. Feels good. As I said in the breakdown, this was a fade of Taysom Hill, who I don't believe in, and he proved me right. He's not a quarterback. Can we stop with this? He's not a quarterback. He went 19 for 41. 2 touchdowns, but those stats were even inflated by a 70-something ridiculous long touchdown. 70-yard pass to Deontay Harris, yeah. Without that, he was a true nightmare. Even with that, he was a true nightmare. 4 picks. He ran the ball really well, but if this is what he is, he's Jalen Hurts, but worse, with no upside because he's already 31 years old, and he has a torn plantar fascia. Half torn? Something? I don't know. This was a fade of their offense, and I was absolutely right. Cowboys got DeMarcus Lawrence back. He was in there. Had 2 passes deflected, actually, at the line. He's looking good. So they have him. They have Micah Parsons. And they're starting to get healthier and look a little better. So the defense I trusted against a really bad offense. Mark Ingram didn't do anything. They just couldn't get it going at all and turned the ball over like clockwork. I thought Dallas' offense would be way better. Dak didn't look very good in this game at all. He really didn't. And Zeke is just hurt. They should really be sitting him down a couple games down the stretch because they're going to make the playoffs and they need him to be healthy if they want to win a Super Bowl. Can't believe I'm saying Super Bowl and Cowboys in the same sentence. But regardless, they really need to figure that situation out. Zeke has to be 100%. He's just not. He's never been a home run hitter, but he doesn't look capable of it at this point. He's just trying to run into the line and grind out 4 yards at a time, which is fine, and he does it, and he's a great short yardage back. But give Pollard a couple weeks and then let Zeke get healthy. I don't see what the problem is. I think they were worried because they dropped a couple bad games, but now back on track, and their schedule is pretty soft. Division games, which is tough. Washington, Giants, Washington, Cardinals, Eagles. Cardinals is the only one you're like really worried about, but the rest are, divisional games. I guess it's difficult, but you got to look long-term here. Not that Mike McCarthy knows how to coach, which was a plus because they didn't have him on the field. Although their play calling is terrible. Dallas play calling, I don't like it. They have so many weapons, and it just feels like they don't know what to do with any of them. But Lamb is awesome. Cooper will be healthy by next week. He was in, but he was a little banged up by the Covey. There was one moment where I wasn't worried about Dallas ever in this game, and it was an easy one, and I was never worried about the Suns. They crushed the Pistons, so that was an easy win for us. But where was it? It was a fourth quarter interception by Dak. It must have been here. Yeah. Intended for CD Lamb, picked by Marcus Lattimore. He got smashed in the head. Let's see if I can find it. They didn't call it. Let's see. It's got to be here. People needed to be talking about it. Yeah, right here. Bingo. You can see it. The still. So in theory, now this makes it look really bad. He was trying to make a tackle, and he was getting moved around by Tyron Smith. So it's hard. It's difficult. But in theory, I'm okay with them not calling every little touch to the quarterback, right? He was fine. He was totally fine. It impacted the play, but it was a defensive play. He didn't grab his face mask. He didn't hurt him. He didn't shove him to the ground. He didn't hit him low. He didn't hit him late. In theory, I'm okay with them not calling this kind of stuff. In practice, they call this all the time. And Dak isn't some crappy rookie that doesn't get any calls. It's weird. You're talking about him as a possible MVP candidate. Not really. He's not going to win it, but still. Top 10. And he gets smacked in the head on a play where he throws a pick, and I'm waiting for the laundry to come out, and I just never saw it, and it's just bizarre. So it just brings up the same inconsistent reffing concerns that we've had all year long and forces us to not like it in either direction. Because when they do something that I want is not call every little thing and let them actually play, I'm left going, well, they call it in every other game, so what's going on? Either you have to call it consistently for or against, but they can't do consistent anything, one way or the other. So, yeah. I mean, it was an awful throw anyway, and it was on a play where he had like 1,000 motions and the clock was ticking down, and just call timeout. It reminded me of the Kirk Cousins play when he lined up under the guard. He's trying to move people around, and he's trying to do this and trying to do that and trying to get the perfect play, and something's going to go bad. The coach should step in and call timeout, but the Cowboys don't have a good one of those, their regular coach or their backup coach. And he ends up throwing a pick, and, it was never really in doubt because the Saints couldn't score at all. But yeah, I mean, this game went how it went. The Saints are done. The Cowboys are a playoff team. And even on a bad day for their offense, they scored 27. Saints' run D is really good. It really is. Without that 58-yard rush for Pollard, they have, 23 carries and well under 100 yards. Saints' run D went really, really well, aside from that one long rush, which happens to people. It happened to the Patriots against some third-string running back whose name I can't even remember, Hilliard, on the Titans. I remembered. But still. This was just taking care of business. I'm proud we picked the right way. I hope everyone followed. And we move along. Who do the Saints got next week, out of curiosity? Oh! The New York Football Jets, of course. Actually, the Saints might be on a bye first. It seems that... No. Oh, because it was Thursday, so there's just a lot of days in between. They'll be on long rest against the Jets. Maybe the Jets can win that game, honestly. Probably not. Probably not. Anywho. Speaking of buys, even though I was wrong about having it, I mentioned some stats on stream yesterday. Let me pull them back up so I don't get them wrong. And some leans before we dive into all these games, which we will in a second. But teams off a bye are 8-14 against the spread this season. 36% winning percentage, which is horrific if you're trying to handicap. Teams off a bye are also 6-22 against the over. So not only are they not covering, but they're not scoring, and the game is low scoring, and the under is crushing. 27% towards the over, which means 73% towards the under. That's math, baby. So do we fade scoring in general, and do we fade teams off a bye, or is that due for some regression to the mean, and teams off a bye are going to get a little better? Is it team dependent? Who knows? That will come into play with both Arizona and Kansas City this week. We'll talk about both of them as we go down the list. And then another one that plays into Arizona, even though it's our second game, I have it written down on my notes and my stats and my pad. So teams off of Monday Night Football, coming off of Monday Night Football, so on short rest. So maybe the long rest is not going well. Teasing it here. Teams coming off Monday Night Football are 15-4 against the spread this season, 15-3-1 straight up. It's weird, but Washington Football Team fits this narrative. We'll get to them in a minute. Okay? So there you have it. Now we dive into the games, and then we'll get to the official picks at the end, of which I have many. It's a 5-pack. It's 5 picks. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know how whispering goes into this microphone, but I think it's fine. 5 picks. We start from the top. Minnesota, Detroit. There's not that much to talk about here. Here's a problem, though. And this is the obvious teaser, right? It's a 7-point spread. Hasn't budged that much. It's going up to 7.5. It might hit 8 before kickoff. Who knows? I don't think it'll get to 8.5. I'd be a little surprised. The Lions, I've been saying all year, are due for a win. I'm not going to zag that hard. I'm just saying. They really play pretty tight, and the Vikings do know how to blow games, right? So if you wanted to argue against, I understand. And I'm not all the way comfortable with laying the 7.5 or 8, especially without Dalvin Cook in this game. Madison's a good backup, but he's still a backup. And I don't know who the third string is. Well, actually, CJ Ham, the fullback, will probably get some carries in this one, if I had to guess. Kene Nwangwu. Nwangwu. Okay, Kenny. We'll see. In any case, that's not the reason I like the Vikings on the tees in this one. I know I'm giving it away for later, but I don't care. Because it's what everyone's thinking. And generally, I'm scared of that. And generally, I'm scared of the Vikings. I don't take the Vikings very often. I took them last week in a tease plus 10. It barely hit. Niners tried to give that game away. This week, though, it's a little more simple. One, I am willing to fade the Lions without Swift. He is their whole team. He really is their whole team. And if we go to the stats, you can't be scared of Goff, right? I mean, I think he's better than people give him credit for. I don't think he's absolutely nightmare level, but he's one of the bottom 10 quarterbacks starting this week, probably. But Swift is such a monster. I don't know if I like Jamal Williams, but he's better as a change of pace. Swift is your best offensive player, and he's not there. And they can throw to Hawkinson, but is Hawkinson going to beat this Vikings team by himself? Is Hawkinson, Jamal Williams, and Jared Goff going to win against Madison, but more importantly, Jefferson and Thielen? This Lions secondary Passing defense stats. I imagine the Lions are towards the bottom. I know they are. They're actually not as terrible. What metric is this? Let's go by yards. Well, a lot of people probably... let's see. You know, yeah. They're middling, but I know for a fact that they're not good, and this is skewed quite a bit. Yeah, QB rating, they're really down there. This is skewed quite a bit by the fact that they get blown out a lot, and teams will just run. So they've allowed 8 40-yard passes. I mean, I just don't trust them in any real capacity to play defense against Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has killed everybody. Let's go to his game log and look at it. He's been just destroying. Last week he gets a ton of targets, right? So we know that they're gonna feed him. 4 for 83, 8 for 169 and 2 touches, 9 for 143, 3 for 69 and a touch. Dallas game, he didn't play that well. Weird game. 8 for 80, 7 for 124, 6 for 84, 9 for 118. He's pretty matchup proof. And I don't understand that even if this game is close, even if the Vikings are down 6 with the game on the line and driving, I know Kirk Cousins might blow it. I understand what I'm saying. I do. But he can really just pepper Jefferson throughout a drive if he needs to and get them to a win. Also, the Vikings are still in the hunt and need this win badly. And I really thought the Thanksgiving game was the one the Lions could have won. And I think the ship has sailed for them. Their coach doesn't seem to know what to do. Their best offensive player is out. So if you look at this as a shootout, which is ridiculous with the Lions offense, but just look at it that way, because the Vikings D actually isn't that bad. But look at it that way, I still trust the Vikings to win, right? So, and you're coming off that tough late loss. You have extra time. I guess that's good. Then you have Minnesota at Denver. I can't imagine they're going to go on the road and win. Home against Arizona, that's tough. At Atlanta is the game. That's the game. At Atlanta is your Super Bowl. It's not this week. And I feel like they could be flat without Swift. And if they come out and try to run with Williams and get stuffed and go 3 and out, it's like, okay, Minnesota comes down and scores. I'm a little scared, but I'm going to lean Minnesota. I can't take the Lions here. I just cannot. I even took them in the pool. And so I'm not going to lay all the points. I'm not ultra comfortable with that. If you wanted to tell me that you're taking Detroit +8 because it should be 7, all right. I'm not going to do that. I lean Minnesota, but I definitely like Minnesota on the tees. Let's talk about Arizona, Chicago. Now, here's where the bye stuff comes into play. Arizona off a bye. Looks like Kyler and Hopkins are both going to play, right? Justin Fields, I think, is actually going to play in this one, which changes how I feel about this game entirely. Oh, wow, okay. He's not going to start, according to Larry Mayer. Matt Nagy says Andy Dalton will start. Okay, because Fields was practicing. So that's a little weird. This is only 3 hours ago. Rib injury. I guess they're not going anywhere. Why risk it? So this one's a little tough. Here's why I'm not going to fall into the little bit of a trap. I don't know if it's a trap, but I'm just not going to fall into it. First of all, Arizona on the road in cold weather. Okay? I don't trust Andy Dalton. He's bad. This spread probably shouldn't be more than a touchdown, just because I haven't seen Kyler and Hopkins play in a while, and I don't know how healthy exactly they are to go on the road and win. But Chicago can't really move the ball with Andy Dalton, so I'm only staying away from this game because the tease, I wanted to pick one of the teasers between Minnesota and Arizona because they're both touchdown favorites. And I went with Minnesota just because the Justin Jefferson thing I think is a little easier against a Detroit secondary that I know can't do much. And Chicago's ravaged on defense too. I get it if you want to go the other way, but I'm just going to trust these off-by stats because I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is like Bill Belichick or Andy Reid level. You know, he's fine. He's an average coach. I don't think he's as bad as some people make it out to be either, but still, I don't think he's a mastermind. And he doesn't know whether he can have the game plan ready for Kyler and Hopkins. So I think I'm actually going to lean Chicago if it's over a touchdown, if you're getting 7.5 for a pool, but I'm actually just going to stay away from this one entirely when it comes to my real picks, just because those numbers off the bye are really weird and bad. And I want to give it a little more time to see what happens. So I'm just going to not fall into a trap, and I'm not going to try to fade the trap. I'm just going to let that one be. And I get it if you want to go either way. I'm actually going to take Chicago in my pool, though. For some reason, I'm just going to trust those bye stats. And if they're wrong and it comes back to the mean and Arizona, you know, I've said a million times, at what point are we going to trust Arizona? It's just that I just don't know if their players are healthy. I don't know. I'm not sure. So we'll see. Tampa, Atlanta is another one where I think I'm going to zag where a lot of people are zigging. I think this spread's a little too big. I've said it over and over the past few weeks. Tampa can't cover. And like Kyle Pitts can be a problem, and Cordarrelle Patterson can be a problem. And I don't know if Devin White is playing in this one. He seems to be a game time decision. He's practicing. He's questionable. That makes a big difference in this one. But I'm also not putting this in my official picks because giving it, this says 10.5. I've seen it at 11 at some places. It opened at 9.5. Giving this many points on the road, I mean, to me, this should be like 8. On the road in division, and Atlanta has shown that sometimes they can get blown out there pretty bad, but they can put up points, right? And last time, they came back, and I don't know if they covered, but they started coming back late in this game against the Bucks. It was 48-25. They lose by 17, but they started scoring, right? And that was in Tampa. If the Falcons score 25 again, it means Tampa has to score 36 to cover, and they might. And Atlanta might score more than 25. I'm not ready to trust this Tampa Bay defense in the secondary, especially if Devin White is a little bit hurt. And if he's not and you switch your pick, then I understand. Check it out on Sunday, obviously. This is an injury report kind of situation. But I think I'm going to take Atlanta plus the points. I like Tampa to win the game. They're going to win. They might win by a touchdown, and it might feel really safe. But if you're up by 17 with 3 minutes left, and Atlanta scores a backdoor touchdown and the game was never in question, you cover. So I can't believe I'm putting money on Matt Ryan. I mean, I'm not putting this in my official picks, and I wouldn't advise betting it. But for pool purposes, I kind of like Atlanta plus the points. I don't think this would be like a 17, 18 point spread kind of situation in Tampa. And I just don't see it that way. I don't think Atlanta is the worst team in the league. Although by DVOA, I think this is number 1 versus number 32, literally. So maybe I'll just eat crow here. Does that work? I don't want to eat a crow. Anyway, it's got to be a disgusting bird. Can't be good. Although, bird's a bird? It's like you wouldn't eat a toucan. What would you do with the nose? Beak? I don't know. I'm taking Atlanta plus 10.5, I guess. It really feels bad. But this is just another stay away because week after week after week I go, oh, man, that Tampa secondary is pretty bad. So, I don't know. Kyle Pitts might eat him up. Or White might play and shut him down, and this looks like a blowout, and I look like an idiot because Tampa's gotten blown out by a lot of people. But I just think the spread's a tiny, tiny bit too big. I can see this being a 10-point win and never being a question. So, I don't know why Denver, Kansas City is all the way up here. It's very silly. If I refresh the page, will it move? No. Idiots. Vegas Insider, what are you doing? We'll get back to him. Indy, Houston. See, this is the problem, right? Because, like, Atlanta's way better than Houston. I think we all acknowledge this. And Tampa and Indy just played down to the wire in overtime. They're somewhat similar teams, and these spreads are pretty much the same. They're 10. That's why I'm backing Atlanta, but I can't do it with Houston. I wish I could. I really want to use that same mentality, but I can't because Houston really is terrible. And I tried to say that Tyrod Taylor is like pretty solid when he came back, but he's looked really awful too. And the thing about Indy is once they get a lead, they can just choke you out with Jonathan Taylor. They don't have to throw. Carson Wentz doesn't have to do a lot. And because of that, I can just see them being up 4 points in the fourth quarter and then running down their throat, and you end up winning by 18. And you're like, wasn't that game close? Yeah, but it's Houston, you know? I don't have it in me. We're at the point in the season where I'm more looking for teams that I will not take and I'm not interested in even looking at. And Houston is probably on that list after losing to the Jets. And it's more about that than I can't go down with the ship with Houston. I can go down with the ship with Atlanta for some reason in a divisional game. This is a divisional game too, but Houston they're trying to lose, right? And Tyrod has looked so bad. The Indy defense is getting a little bit better. This just feels like it could be a rout. Indy coming off a tough loss, so they need the game bad. That's the other thing. Tampa needs the game against Atlanta, sure. But Indy is in a playoff race. They're not necessarily going to make it. You can't even come close to making think this could be a loss against Houston. So I'm going to take Indy minus the 10, although I acknowledge that the spread is probably supposed to be 9 or something like that. Maybe 8. But in any case, I'll go with them just because I think Taylor can run it down their throat. And we'll see what happens with that. Philly and the Jets. Man. See, here's the thing. I love the Jets. They're terrible. Their defense finds a way to give up a ton of points. And yet, some of the members of the defense look pretty fast and quick and good and smart together. It's weird. Quincy Williams, Quinnen Williams, CJ Mosley. They're feisty. They're fast. And I've been fading the Eagles so much that, like, I'm wondering if I can just take the Jets here and hope that they just don't lose by a ton. They give up a lot of points. They have a defensive coach. I'm hoping Saleh is starting to figure it out. He gave up 24 against the Dolphins and 14 against the Texans after giving up 45, 45, 31, 54 in a bad stretch. I just can't take the Eagles as a touchdown favorite on the road after they couldn't score at all on the road against the Giants. Are the Jets and the Giants that different? The Giants are better, but by how much? Like this? Eagles lost by 6 to the Giants. Now they're giving 7 to the Jets? Corey Davis is coming back? I mean, at some point, Zach Wilson has to have a pretty okay game where he flashes the arm talent, right? Like, he has to put it together at some point and show, like, oh, yeah, he was the number 2 pick. He's shown it at times. It's hard to take the Jets, I acknowledge. They're so bad. They do a lot of dumb things, but they have a couple good players. I wish Michael Carter was playing in this game for them because he's a pretty good running back. Their draft last year was pretty damn good, and they're going to have like the 4th and 5th picks in the draft this year. Jets draft 2021. It really was pretty good. Look, Zach Wilson we can't judge yet. Vera Tucker hasn't been great, but their whole line hasn't been great. But Elijah Moore is good. Carter's a good pick. They have a couple guys here that I kind of like. They got some depth. They're bad. I get it. Betting the Jets is really scary. And I'm not going to put them in my picks. But for the pool, I'm not taking Philly as a 7-point dog. I'm just not. Jets could get blown out any given week. I understand. But I can't even... Come on. I'm talking about being scared about Tampa being a 10.5-point dog in Atlanta. I'm going to take the Eagles as a touchdown favorite on the road? I can't. It's so silly. This spread's too big. It should be 4. Philly's not good. Everyone thinks Philly's good. They're not good. Jalen Hurts not a good quarterback. Are they going to run all over the Jets? Maybe. I don't know. Is it going to shock me if the Jets look a little feisty, put pressure on Hurts, and he doesn't have a great game? Not really. Not necessarily expecting the Jets to win, but I think they could. A home game against Philly? Is it impossible to win? I don't think so. I can't take them minus 6.5 or 7 or anything like that. I'm not advocating anything monetarily with the Jets. But I'm back in the Jets. Let's go Jets, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying it because I just think this spread is too ridiculous. A lot of action always comes in Philly. They have a lot of support from their home crowd. I could see this spread going up by kickoff. So if you could wait and get it at like 8, that'd be cool. But I just won't take them as a favorite of that big on the... What have they done? What has Philly done to prove that they should be touchdown favorites on the road? What? They beat the Falcons? Big deal. They lose to the Niners. They lose to the Cowboys. They lose to the Chiefs, which they should. They beat the Panthers, who are awful. They lose to the Bucks. They lose to the Raiders. They beat the Lions, who are awful. They lose to the Chargers. They beat the Broncos, which is the weirdest game ever. They beat the Saints when Trevor Siemian decided, I'm so bad I'm going to get benched for Taysom Hill, who is also so bad. These 2 games were weird. Then they crash back down to earth, lose to the Jets. I mean, I'm not taking them as a touchdown favorite on the road. I'm just not. Give me the Jets. Whatever. Make fun of me when the Jets lose. We'll talk about it on Monday. Chargers Cincinnati. Let's talk about this game. My favorite game of the week. My favorite. The Bengals. Bengals, baby. Tigers. Go Tigers. With the X, you know? Go Tigers. Go Bengals. Here's the thing. The Chargers haven't looked good in so long. They really haven't. How can I possibly trust this team on the road? They went on the road to the Bengals, looked terrible, and got crushed. They beat a Steelers team in a shootout. The Steelers got annihilated by this Bengals team. Couldn't score at all. The Steelers put up 37 points on the Chargers. They lose to the Vikings. They barely beat the Eagles. They lose to the Pats. They lose to the Ravens. They gave up 42 points to the Browns, who can't score. They can't play defense. The Chargers can't play defense. And they definitely can't stop the run. And I hate Joe Mixon. I really do, because he seems like a bad person. The video, the punch, whatever. But he's been killing lately. He's had a really good season. 123 yards and 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago against Vegas. 165 yards and 2 touchdowns against Pitt. They're realizing that if they use him, it keeps pressure off of Burrow. And Burrow is awesome. He's really good. I'm not even ready to say that Herbert is better than Burrow. People think that, but Herbert hasn't been playing. Watch the games the past month. Herbert hasn't been good. He really hasn't been. This isn't last year. I still think he's going to have a great career and going to grow and be better. But he struggled for one reason or another. And this Bengals defense isn't bad. So I think if you look at Burrow versus Herbert, it's at worst equal. But I think Burrow has a better chance to be good against a worse defense. And especially since I think Mixon can really open it up for him. And run. They can run whenever they want to in this game. I don't know why the spread is 3. It feels like so many people are just stuck to the fact that the Chargers are good because they have a lot of good skill players and they can score points, but their defense is terrible. I'm not trusting. Here's the problem. The only thing that I don't like about the Bengals, right, is that the last time we were ready to crown them, right here, when they lose to the Jets, right, they were coming off, the beginning of the season went win against Minnesota, good win, loss at Chicago, not a great loss, but road, go into Pittsburgh, dominate them, beat Jacksonville, lose to Green Bay in a really close game. Green Bay's awesome. Crush Detroit like they should. Crush Baltimore. And then we're going, oh, The Bengals are interesting. And then they lose to the Jets. Here's the thing. They put up 31 in that game against the Jets. They didn't get crushed. They got caught off guard late, and the Jets came back. Mike White ended up beating their defense, right? Okay. Does that mean Herbert can beat their defense? Maybe. Maybe. But then at worst, you're talking about a shootout, and I'll take the team with the better defense at home, which is the Bengals. This game, where there were huge, huge ramifications for them and everyone was ready to call them a Super Bowl contender, came on the road in a third straight game on the road. That's really hard to do, to win 3 straight games on the road, even if it's the Jets. It just is hard. You haven't been home in a while. This is different. This is the 3 out of 4 games they're going to play at home, and the other one was in Vegas where they went in there and stomped them out by 20 points. 19. And they're coming off of an absolute stomping of Pittsburgh. So their team is riding high, like it was before when they came into the Jet game, but they get a second consecutive home game when the last time it was a third consecutive road game. That matters. This crowd hasn't seen a game like this that's important with a possible playoff opponent away, across from them on the other bench. When is the last time the Bengals crowd was able to see this? Let's look. Because I don't think it was last year. They lost 1 million games last year. And Burrow was hurt. 2019, they're awful. 2018, maybe home versus New Orleans and they lose by 1 billion, but that's coming off a bye, and that's even really stretching it. I mean, I don't know. And this is the Andy Dalton team. The point is, it's been a long time. It has been literally never in the Joe Burrow era that this home crowd is able to rally around a team that they think might go to the playoffs and that they really think is a contender on both sides of the ball. I think Cincinnati is fast on defense and can keep up with... Look, Eckler might have a big game. It might be an Eckler mix in both are big. But the Chargers just blow games. They do. And I'm willing to think that the Cincinnati loss against the Jets was a little bit more of an outlier than we thought at the time. I'm willing to trust them again. This is the second time they've been on a good streak. I think Burrow is in a better spot against a worse defense. They're at home. The crowd should be on their side. And the Chargers cannot stop the run, and Mixon should run wild. The Cincinnati offensive line has gotten a little healthier. They've played pretty well lately. Jonah Williams I like. I'm taking the Bengals as my favorite pick this week. I really think they win the game. I don't necessarily need the -3. You just take the money line. We'll talk about it at the end. Because this could definitely be a field goal game. It could be a field goal game where the Chargers miss one to lose, right? That makes sense to me. I just haven't seen it from Herbert lately, so I'm not going to bet on the bounce back. I'm just going to say that he's going through a hard streak right now, and that Cincinnati is having a home game off of a really hot streak. This is just riding what I've seen lately and not just looking at 2 teams that are similar and it should be a 3-point spread. Yeah. Momentum exists. The crowd's going to be rocking. If Cincinnati goes up in this game early, it's a wrap. They're going to run down their throats and end it early. I don't see a way that the Chargers end the game early on them. So I'm very comfortable with Cincinnati. Go Bengals. With an X. We'll get back to that when we make the official picks. Still at 1 p.m. A lot of 1 p.m. games. Giants and Miami. Daniel Jones ruled out. Officially ruled out. I will never place confidence or dollars on Mike Glennon. I promise you. The Giants are so banged up. It looks like some of their receivers aren't going to play again. Tony and Shepard are doubtful, I think. Galladay might play, but he's the only one out there able to do anything, and he hasn't had a good season at all. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I just want to back this up and look it up, and it's been bad. It's been bad. He's had one decent week. 4 for 64, 3 for 38. 4 for 64, 6 for 116 was the good week. He hasn't scored a touchdown all year, by the way. 2 for 28, 1 for 12, and 3 for 50. Over the last 3 weeks, he has 6 catches for under 100 yards. And now they're going on the road to face a Miami defense that is doing nothing but putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks with a backup quarterback in there. What reason do I have to believe that the Giants are going to compete here. Their defense is pretty good, but Miami's offense has gotten better. They figured out how Tua, Gaskin, and Waddle can do some slice and dice stuff and move fast. And I think Brian Flores is starting to figure out this team. And I like that the Giants got rid of Jason Garrett, but I can't back them to win a game. Now, here's the flip side. If I had to play devil's advocate, Devil's here, Angels here. And last time I did this, we got it wrong. And we're going to do the Frankenstein. Frankenstein, is he the angel or the devil? Oh, he's so cute. In any case, the devil's advocate is that this line went from 2.5, which was nonsensical. Miami is a better team than the Giants. They just are. And I've been preaching for weeks that Miami might be able to actually put something together here and get to like 7-7 because they play the Jets and then the Giants and the Jets. Yeah. And then they play the Saints, who are a dumpster fire, and then Tennessee, who's banged up. I mean, what if they're on 4 wins in a row? It's probably going to be 6. I don't know. Is this a playoff team all of a sudden? Their defense has looked really good. Tua's looked better. I've always been a believer in Tua more than other people. But again, the devil's advocate is that the line went from 2.5 to 6, and I don't know if Daniel Jones is worth 3.5 points, maybe 4, might go up to 5 over Mike Glennon. But the Giants are just banged up. The Giants' path to victory here is playing really good D. The under is a good play, but the line is so low. It's 39. So Vegas knows that the under is a play, and in that case, I can't really take it. But it won't shock me if this is a 13-10 game, if this looks similar to how Giants-Eagles looked last week, except the reverse, because Miami's at home, and I'm comfortable with teasing them down to a pick'em because I think Miami wins the game. They might just destroy Mike Glennon. They're going to send pressure. He's going to turn the ball over. They don't have offensive players to give it to. Unless this is the Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay breakout game and the Giants defense looks good, I think Miami walks to victory. Same way I liked Miami against the Panthers last week. It was like, why are the Panthers better than Miami? They're not. Well, why are the Giants better than Miami? They're not. Miami's not as bad as we thought they were. Take the fish that aren't fish, but they're mammals at home, but we tease it. We'll get back to that when we make the official picks. If we're talking about pool purposes, I'm still taking Miami. I don't feel as comfortable with the 6 because, you know, who knows with their team. I mean, they're not a powerhouse. To take them as a touchdown favorite, you have to think the opponent is actually inept, and I don't think the Giants are that because their defense isn't terrible in the secondary. But in any case, I'm way more comfortable with Miami than I am with the Giants. Let's move on to the afternoon games. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Simple. Don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. I am concerned. I'm not putting it in my picks. I am not taking Ben Roethlisberger ever again for the rest of his career. I can't. After what I saw the past couple weeks, he is so beyond done. I've always not liked him. Same reason I don't like Joe Mixon. You want to dig into that? God bless you. But he is done. This Chargers game was an anomaly that he threw for 3 touchdowns. He didn't even look good in this one. He was terrible last week. He just seems to get more and more banged up as the season goes on. He's played better at home, which is a little bit scary and why I'm not willing to put this in the picks. Also, the Baltimore offense just hasn't looked good at all. This is a complete stay away game from me because the same reason I took Pittsburgh in the pool last week, it was a divisional game against Cincinnati. I expect Pittsburgh to get up for divisional games. Their defense is healthier. And in this one, they're at home. But I just can't take Ben Roethlisberger in 2021. I'm sorry. I can't. I think Lamar Jackson has a way better chance at a bounce back than Ben Roethlisberger does. I don't trust Baltimore's offense all the way in the playoffs. I could see myself fading them. But this ain't the playoffs. And Pittsburgh ain't a playoff team as far as I'm concerned. So give me Baltimore, lay the points. If this is a field goal game, God bless it. But I just don't feel comfortable putting anything on Ben Roethlisberger. He could blow up at any time and look so terrible. He could get knocked out of a game. He could just throw a million picks. He can't throw. I don't think Najee Harris is single-handedly going to beat Baltimore. I expect Lamar to look a little better than he looked last week with 4 picks. Yeah. Give me Baltimore. My confidence level is not as high as I would love it to be, but I'm not taking Big Ben. I'm just not. I won't tease this. I'll keep it off of my picks. A division game, I get it. These teams know each other really well. There is a part of me that's tempted to take Pitt plus 4.5, but I'm not going to do it. In my pool, I have Baltimore. I'm sticking with it. I won't change it. I'm sticking to my guns. Bang, bang. Baltimore Ravens. That's all I got. I just can't take Big Ben. Jacksonville and the Rams. Look, same thing. We talked about it. You have to cross teams off at this time of year. You have to just say, I'm not taking these teams for the rest of the season. And whatever happens, happens. Let it be. I'm not taking Jacksonville. I'm not taking Jacksonville on the road. I'm not taking Jacksonville against a team that has Ramsey and Donald both healthy. Von Miller's going to have a good game eventually. He just is. I know this Rams offense hasn't looked very good. They can't run the ball. Stafford might be hurt. Woods is gone. That really hurts. But Kupp could just rip this game apart by himself. Henderson could have a good game against a Jacksonville defense. I'm not super psyched about laying 13 with the Rams, but I refuse to take Jacksonville. I just can't do it. I cannot do it. And if the Rams are going to go on a run, this is the time where they need to win 40-6, right? You need to show it. You need to flex a little bit. They might do that. We'll see, but I'm just not at all comfortable with taking Jacksonville in any capacity. So, if they cover, God bless them. Give me the Rams. San Francisco-Seattle's an interesting one. Seattle looks done. They look like they've quit on the season. Their defense looks much better than it has early in the year, to be fair. They looked pretty good against Washington on Monday night. And that was a road game on a Monday, and they competed. A little bit. It was ugly. The offense still looks terrible, but I don't know how many times I need to do this before I learn, but I just still believe that Russell Wilson will have a bounce back. He still looks hurt. He can't throw the ball straight. I really understand. I really, really do. And if I were arguing with myself and if I were editing this instead of doing it live, I would just clip in Tuesday's stream where I just talked about how Russell can't be trusted and isn't throwing straight, and I'm very concerned about them. But they still have Lockett and Metcalf. And I know this San Francisco defense is still vulnerable, and San Francisco doesn't have Debo or Fred Warner, who are literally their two best players on the team. So their best player on both sides of the ball is out. And in a divisional game, Seattle owns them, by the way. Pete Carroll has killed Kyle Shanahan. On one of the other shows, we talked about the weird cycle of coaching in the NFC West. And one of the examples is Carroll destroying Shanahan a lot of the time. Is it going to shock anyone if this is the bounce back and this game is close and Russ actually throws pretty well against San Francisco? San Francisco is the trendy team. The public is crushing them. I saw them at like 80% of tickets have San Francisco in this game. And I know why you would fade Seattle, but their defense really didn't look that bad last week. And their offense is bound to get a little bit better. It has to. It has to. They can't keep going 3 and out with Russell Wilson as their quarterback. I can't believe I'm just drinking this poison voluntarily again. But I'll take Seattle plus 3.5 at home. I'll take them plus 3 too, but if you can get the hook, do that. Plus 3.5? Come on. These two teams go to war with each other all the time. This should be a field goal game. It just should be. The crowd still has to be into it. Seattle, who knows what's going to happen in their future, but this is the game you have to win. If you run the table, maybe you still make the playoffs. I know it's ridiculous and it's not going to happen, but still, internally in the locker room, they have to be going, well, we just need to win this game and just keep moving forward, right? And since their defense has played better, I don't know if Elijah Mitchell has looked awesome for San Francisco. He's looked really, really good. And I know Seattle has looked bad, but the Debo thing, he's so integral to their offense. George Kittle has to be an absolute monster for San Francisco to cover, and he might be, but they show restraint in using him a lot of the time. I don't know if Ayuk is going to break the game open when a lot of attention isn't on Debo. I'm not comfortable with taking a team that is streaking big time, beating a bunch of teams, getting all this public backing, but also is missing their best player on both sides of the ball. That has to matter. Fred Warner has to matter to their defense. Debo Samuel has to matter to this offense. That's all there is to it. I still am yearning for the Russell bounce back. And so for those reasons, I'm going to take Seattle in this one. That might be a zag, but I'm going to take it. We'll go back up here. Now let's talk about Denver, Kansas City. This is the night game, Sunday night. This one's really interesting. Man, it's at 9.5. I've seen it get to 10 in some places. It's fluttering between 9, 9.5, and 10. What do you do with this one? What do you do? The Denver defense with Vic Fangio doesn't like to play a lot of too high safeties, which has been the thing that's succeeding against Kansas City. By the way, Kansas City turns the ball over a ton. An absolute ton. They might be like first. Interceptions total. Where are the Chiefs? Here they are. 15 turnovers. 15 turnovers. And is that... Oh, this is takeaways. I'm sorry. Giveaways. I was wondering why it was so bad. Yeah, they're terrible. 22. They're second worst in the league behind the New York Jets. Yikes. But with all that said, their offense in all metrics is still tippy top. They dominate. They move the ball like no other. And if you take away some of those turnovers, which some were fluky, from watching the game, some banged off hands or shoulder pads, or Mahomes just trying to do a little too much in a game where they're trying to come back, or something like that, or they didn't have Hilaire. He has the flu, but it seems like he should play, so I'm assuming he's going to play in this one. But even if he doesn't, I gotta assume that Kansas City's going to score the football, and at some point they're going to fix their woes. Now, do I buy into this Kansas City defense is the real question. They've looked better than they looked early in the year, for sure. For sure. But I'm not ready to say they're a good defense. I think they're average. And they looked good against Dallas when Dallas had nobody. They looked good against Vegas, who were tumbling at the time. They looked good against Green Bay, who was a backup team. They looked okay against the Giants on Monday Night Football, who aren't very good. That's 4 straight wins in 4 straight weeks where you're like, oh, the defense is improved. But these teams all had reasons why it was kind of bad, right? And so Denver can run the ball on everybody. They have 2 really good running backs. Their running attack has looked really good. And I'm worried that this is a little too many points for the fact that Denver might be able to take the air out of the ball a little bit and sustain long drives. Now, the key might be when Denver gets into the red zone after good long drives running the football, which will happen a couple times at least, can they turn it into 7 and not 3? That's going to be the difference in this 9.5 point spread to me. I don't feel super comfortable on either side of this. I know Andy Reid coming off a bye is a different animal than a lot of people, but also those off the bye stats have been really bad for teams. So this is a really tricky one. I think this should be an 8-point spread and not a 9.5, but I think the public is just thinking that Kansas City is rolling after 4 wins and this could be a blowout potential. I don't think that. I wonder what they're going to do with Patrick Surtain. He's been awesome at corner for them, Denver. But are they going to put him on Tyreek Hill, or are they actually going to put him on Kelsey? Because what Kansas City likes to do a lot of the time is put Kelsey on one side, put a bunch of receivers on the other side, and say, either you're going to guard Kelsey one-on-one, or you're going to force a double there, which means there's one-on-one coverage somewhere on the other side that has Tyreek Hill and a couple of speedsters. If you put Surtain on Kelsey, which I don't know if they will, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about, you can play the safety on the other side and just live with the one-on-one with Kelsey. Maybe. You can at least try it. Sometimes. So you combine a Denver team that has a bunch of corners, one of which I really like that can create a good matchup for them, and a really good rushing attack, and Teddy Bridgewater playing. Look, if Drew Lock comes into the game, it's over. Kansas City wins and covers. I acknowledge that. But if Teddy stays healthy and they can sustain long rushing drives, I actually am comfortable with Denver in this one getting more than a touchdown. If you can get them at 10, I like that better. If you could tease this up, I like that better. But if you're in a pool and it's at 9.5, I'm still going to lean Denver. I acknowledge it might be a 10-point win, but I'm not yet totally comfortable with this Kansas City defense covering 2 scores. So I think Mahomes will score, but I think there might not be that many possessions in this game. I actually like the under, too, 47. I just don't think this will be a light up the scoreboard game. I think Denver's going to actively try to take the air out of the ball. So I'm going to take them with the points. I don't know if that's a sexy play. And if Kansas City comes out and wipes the floor with them, then so be it. But I just don't think they will. And I think Denver will hang around a little longer than you want them to. And it'll be the third quarter, and you're like, Kansas City's up 3. They're going to win this, right? And then Kansas City scores a touchdown, and then Denver kicks a field goal to get it back to 7, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it just ends. That won't shock me. And I still think Jerry Jeudy is prized for a breakout game. He's poised for a breakout game. Prized? I hope he gets a prize if he has 300 yards this week and Denver covers. So I'm going to take Denver with the points. The only other game is Monday night. And I love this game. But we do talk about that more on Monday. If you need to know now, Bill Belichick has owned Buffalo throughout his career. They didn't last year. I think they got swept, but that was the Cam Newton and that was the rebuild year. They've rebuilt now. Their defense looks amazing. Judon is like the defensive player of the year. I don't really trust Josh Allen as much as other people do. I think Mac Jones has looked awesome. If you can get this at +3, and man, if you can tease New England up, I actually still like the New England money line to win this game. I think they're the better team. I do think they're better than Buffalo. And the coaching advantage for Belichick, look, this is going on the road on a Monday night with a rookie quarterback to face a hot offense. I know that. I do know that. But I've been so in on New England, and I think they're bigger, stronger, and tougher than Buffalo. And a lot of people rag on New England skill players, but Kendrick Bourne has looked pretty good, and they seem to love him there. And the only good skill player for Buffalo is Stephon Diggs. They're playing Matt Breida in the backfield and scratching Zach Moss because they have no idea how to play power football at all. They know they're not good running the football. New England is not easy to run on. New England might win in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Buffalo's still trying to figure themselves out. If they don't get the ball to Stephon Diggs, what do? And if they do, and he has 150 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns, then 150 touchdowns, that'd be a really big game. 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Maybe they eke it out and then win the game. But I think the spread is appropriate since it's 2.5. If you can get it at 3 and buy half a point or something, that would be awesome. I still think there's value in the New England money line at plus odds. I'm just taking Belichick. I know they know how much this game means, right? This is both teams are going to pull out all the stops. We will talk about this more on Monday's show. So tune back in on Monday. But if you really need something, at the very least, you can tease New England up. But I think they might win this game. I do. So there you have it. Did we skip a game? Did we talk about Washington and Vegas? I don't think we did. Let's go back and talk Washington, Vegas. And if I'm that zonked from doing this many shows, then, you're going to listen to it again. But this is one of the games that I really like, so it leads perfectly into the picks. Did I plan it? Probably. Am I a genius? Yes. Do I do the run of show to tease you into thinking, did he forget? Does he not like Vegas or Washington that much? No. I actually love one of these teams, and I'll tell you why. I still think Vegas is in a tailspin. I do. I know they beat the Cowboys. Cowboys have been awful on Thanksgiving always. They gave up 33 points to the Cowboys still, okay? They squeaked out a win against a Cowboys team that had nobody and got everyone back this week and looked a ton better. And I actually think Washington is sneaky decent. Once Chase Young went out, everyone was like, oh, their defense is screwed, blah, blah, blah. Look, they have injuries in this game, which does concern me. Landon Collins isn't playing, but their whole defense has been banged up, and they've still found a way to compete. J.D. McKissick isn't playing. I don't like that. But the Raiders have issues, too. Waller's not going to play in this one. I believe he was ruled out. And that kills their offense. He's doubtful. I don't think he's going to play. Deshaun Jackson's nursing an injury. Josh Jacobs always injured. I will say, Deshaun Jackson does fill a really big role for them in filling that Henry Ruggs thing, getting down the field, stretching the defense, maybe catching a 50-yard pass, or at least being targeted for one to prove that the Raiders can do something. And I like Carr. But I like Heineke too. I think the quarterback situation is roughly the same. And I think Washington has their best receiver in McLaurin and has the better running back in Gibson, who can shred this Raiders defense, who can't cover over the middle at all. Both those guys should have big days. While the Raiders don't have Waller, Foster Moreau is okay. He's not Darren Waller. I don't necessarily think Jacobs and Drake are going to ruin the game. I really actually like Washington here, and that stat that we gave about Monday Night Football and those teams dominating off of Monday Night Football, it happens again for Washington here. They're kind of feeling themselves. They're at 3 wins in a row. They beat the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Seahawks. Yeah, they lost 4 in a row before that, but those were the Saints, who shut down their run, the Chiefs, understandable, at the Packers, understandable, and at the Broncos, who aren't that bad. You look at it as a whole, I don't think Washington's that bad. I think Ron Rivera has a coaching advantage. I don't know if he's the best coach in the world, but I think he has a little bit of an advantage. I don't think Vegas has a huge home field advantage. And I still think Vegas is still in this tailspin that people didn't really see because the Thanksgiving game went well. They lost to the Giants, Chiefs, and Bengals in a row and looked like the season was absolutely over. And I took the Cowboys last week for good reason. Because I figured if the Cowboys scored 33 points, this was a wrap. It wasn't. And Deshaun Jackson scores a long touchdown. I can't possibly think that Deshaun Jackson is going to have 2 good weeks in a row. What reason do I have to believe that? Let's look at his game log over the past few years. Like, come on. And he's nursing an injury on the calf, so maybe his speed is diminished. He had 1 good game with the Rams this year and 1 good game with the Raiders. What happened after the good Rams game? He had 1 catch for 6 yards. Then he had 1 for 68. Then he had 1 for 6. He has had no more than 3 catches this season in a game. And if he catches a long one, God bless. But I don't think it'll be more than 1, and I don't even think he'll get the 1. And without him and without Waller and Jacobs banged up, I don't know how this offense really moves it. And the Washington D isn't good. I know I'm going out on a limb here, taking a Washington team that is going on the road without a lot of players. But I just am willing to still fade Vegas, and I think last week was a blip on the radar that was weird on a short week on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys had nobody, and their defense still didn't look good. I like Washington. I really do. At some points, this spread went up to 3 and has come back down to 1-ish. At some points, Vegas had a lot of action from the public and now is turning the other way, it seems, when Waller was ruled out. Call me crazy. I like the football team. I mean, they're just named a football team. They're a football team. There's no denying it. And I think Heineke is going to do something here. He's got a little Brett Favre in him. He's like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's also on Washington. And he's going to let it sling against a defense that can't do a lot. They're coming off 3 straight wins. They're feeling good about themselves. They have Gibson. They have McLaurin. I just am not willing to take Vegas. I liked Vegas after the first 3. Then they lose 2. Then the Gruden thing happens. Then the Ruggs thing happens. They beat the Broncos on the rally together game after Gruden is gone. I got that. I understood it, and I picked them that week. I didn't think they would beat the Eagles, but they did, and I don't think the Eagles are good. Then they lose to the Giants, they lose to the Chiefs, they lose to the Bengals, and they beat the Cowboys in a game that was wonky. I think they crash back down to earth. Give me Washington. Which leads us into the picks for the week Full screen. Here we go. 5 picks. 5 picks on a football Sunday. We're looking to get the brooms back out. I hope so. If you missed yesterday's stream, we did cover UFC entirely. Go back and check that out. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitch. You can find it everywhere at MikeTheMush Sports on the social media if you want to catch me over the weekend saying silly things as the games go on and taking notes and blah, 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 blah. It's very entertaining. It's a great follow. Share it. Blah, blah, blah. Tell your mother. A lot of blah, blah, blahs. Blah, blah. UFC round robin, if you didn't catch it. Fiziev, Hill, Smoka, and Morono. I like all 4. Break it down into 2s, 3s, and 4s. If you're listening, you know what you're talking about. Here's the picks for this week for football. Bengals. Go Tigers. Bengals money line against the Chargers, -160. Take it straight. Bengals are going to win the football game. We broke it down earlier. Another straight up one. Washington football team. We just talked about it. I'm fading the Raiders. You can get the Washington football team money line at plus odds. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. I'm fading the Raiders. I think they crash. Teaser. 6-point teaser. We stare fear in the face because I am scared to take the Vikings. Kirk Cousins scares me, but I'm doing it. We stare it in the face. We are very confident. Vikings, and we're double dipping on the Bengals. We get the Vikings at -1 at the Lions, and we get the Bengals +3 at the Chargers. Home against the Chargers. Vikings and Bengals, 6-point tease. You get it at -110. You don't even need the Bengals to win. You just need to keep it close, and I think they do win. And if the Vikings lose to the Lions, then everyone's going to lose, so whatever. Another teaser. The fade Mike Glennon teaser. 6 points. As of now, you get the Dolphins as a pick'em. That line might move, but either way, you get the Dolphins as a pick'em. And I'm taking the Washington football team +7 on the tees against the Raiders. We're double dipping on that one too. So we're double dipping. We're really double dipping on both the Bengals and the Washington football team. Those are the favorite picks of the week. And we're finding a way to sweeten those odds and make it a little more attractive in a couple different ways. So that's 4 down, 1 to go. Long shot parlay. We have fun with this. It almost hit last week. Sprinkle it. Just a little sprinkle. 5 teams in the long shot parlay. Bucks money line against the Falcons. Colts money line against the Texans. Bengals money line against the Chargers. Triple dipping. Triple dipping would be a really cool hip hop show. Dolphins money line against the Giants. We talked about it. And Rams money line against the Jaguars. Bucks, Colts, Bengals, Dolphins, Rams gives you +370. All those teams should take care of business. Some of them are really big spreads. 3 of them at least. +370. I like those odds. So those are the 5 picks. Give me a 5-star review when they all hit. I don't know where you're going to review it. It doesn't matter. Follow me on Twitch, MikeTheMush on Twitch and YouTube, at MikeMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram. That's it. That's a Football Friday in the books. I can't believe I picked the New York Jets. I'll probably regret some of it, but I think we're going to have a good week. We had a really good week last week. Week 13 is an unlucky number, but if you're a mush, does it turn into a lucky number? Jazz hands. I don't know. We will find out. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you follow. I hope you share the show because I'm trying to spread the word, and I hope you enjoyed it more than anything. Peace out. We'll see you Monday. Follow the Twitter. I'll be ranting and raving about all the insane things that happen, and it'll give you entertainment at the very least. See you Monday.